Again, I want to welcome everyone to today's class. So last week, the class was on WordPress, and WordPress is one of the no-code solutions around which you can use to build a functioning website for a portfolio, for your business, for your clients, for a landing page, almost anything you want to do with a website, you can build it in WordPress. So today we are going into another no-code tool, and it is called WebFlow. So WebFlow is another solution that helps you build your website without having to write a single line of code. And if you know how to write code, fine, it's a plus for you. But what the platform is really meant for is for those who have no knowledge, no idea of how to write code in HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, and still wants to transform their ideas into reality. Perhaps you have a business and maybe you have a portfolio, you want to showcase it online. A lot of these things, you can do it with Webflow. So with that, I want to welcome everyone to today's class. I will introduce myself first. My name is Olaolu Olowofila. So I am a Webflow designer and user experience designer. So with UX, I focus mainly on the content aspect of UX, which is UX writing, as well as research. I do a bit of research as well, and then at some other times I do design. So basically, that is what I do. And outside of design and UX, um, I am a church organist at the Apostolic Faith, and some other times, okay, I like watching funny animal videos on YouTube. It's kind of funny, and I use that to unwind a lot most times when I'm just tired and I just need something to distract myself. Yeah, so basically that is me, and I live in Ibadan. So welcome everyone. I know a couple of people on the call tonight, and then some other people I do not know, but it's so nice having you all on the call tonight. And we are all going to be learning together. It's going to be a journey of 1 week or thereabout, and we're going to be learning together. So with that, again, I want to welcome you all to the class. So you can drop your favorite emoji in the chat if you want, and then let's get the class rolling. Yes, Timileyin, you are raising your
Please,
hand.
sir,
Please go.
class on recording.
Pardon?
Is the class on recording?
Yes, class is for everybody. Are you saying what?
Class, like the video.
I can't hear you clearly.
Please, are you recording the class?
Oh yes, the class is being recorded. Definitely.
Okay, thank you, sir. All
Yes,
right.
yes, yes. Okay, so I asked a question. Yes, please go ahead.
Please, are we going to use internet for tonight's class?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Do you have any other question before we proceed? All right. So I asked a question earlier. Um, 2 days ago, I sent a video to the group, a video link showing you how you're going to create an account in Webflow. I asked earlier, some people said they have registered and created their Webflow account. So I want to be sure that everyone on this call has been able to register and create an account in Webflow. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So who hasn't created an account yet? Yes, Victory. You are raising your hand.
I have some issues with my laptop. I just fix it. So, like since last week, I've just been
Okay.
attending class,
Oh,
but I just fix it. So now I'm just using the PC. Thank you, sir.
all right. Did you go through the message on the group?
Yeah, I did. I did. I'm going to do everything tonight. I did.
All right, all right. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let me just share my let me share my screen and let's get started. Oh my god. All right. Just hold on a bit. Having a bit of I have for permissions. So why is he asking this question? Sorry, just hold on a bit. Um, I'm so sorry for the delay. I'm just having this issue that was unprecedented. I don't have screen recording permission. I'm going to send process. I'm not using. What's all this? Oh my god. What? I'm not using Google Chrome. So I'm not in the mood for all of this mess. Oh God. Like, I don't understand what is really happening. What? You have everything now. I'm not using Google Chrome, so why is it saying anymore? Oh God. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I think I can share my screen now. I'm so sorry for that unexpected delay. Like, I was never anticipating that, for real. So sorry for that. So I hope you can all see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, that's good. Um, yes. So that one is ongoing. All right. So tonight, um, all right. So tonight again, I want to start by showing you. I want to sign out from my account first now, and then I'll go to the Webflow website just for you to see how we are going to get started first. So I will go to webflow.com, and then I'll log in with my email. This is the email I'm using. My password is automatically there. Well, I don't know why this one is not indicating. Or I can just sign in with this one directly. Yes. So once you log in, this might not be the first page you're going to see when you log in, but um, I will take you to that place that it's usually going to show you when you log in into your account. Now, here you have some options. This is my workspace, and we can see here that it's showing me that I have a starter workspace. So there are different types of workspace depending on the type of account you have. And this is not really important for us now. Let's come to this section. And in this section, this is where you are going to create your website. So I have one here. I'm going to delete this one, and then just so that I can really start from scratch. Tutorial class. I'm going to delete that. Yeah. So we have a clean slate, and then I will click on new site. So here you have several options. You can either decide to start with a blank canvas or check out some templates that Webflow has prepared for you. Okay, now you can go through all of this. If you like any of this, you can duplicate it and just, yes, bro Joshua, yes, can you go ahead, please? I see you are raising your hand. Okay, I'll take that as maybe it's a mistake. All right, so let's go ahead. So these are templates. And you remember in your WordPress class, I know that your teacher also told you you can get templates online. So basically that works similarly in this case with Webflow. You can start with a clean slate in this place, which is this one, or you can decide to use any of these templates. So for the sake of our learning process, we are going to be starting with a blank Canva. So I will select this and then I will give it a name. I will say Webflow tutorial class, and then I will create my site. So allow it to load. Yours might not be yellow, it's going to be basically blue, but it doesn't matter. It's yellow because I have a plugin on my that I'm using. Now, this is the page that I'm going to show when you are first when you first create your account, and then it shows you this blank Canva. Now, this is a way to welcome you into the world of Webflow. And what you are seeing here is an empty Canva that can really do a lot of magic for you. But before we get into this empty Canva, we have some bars. We have one at the top here, we have one towards the right here, and we have one towards the left here. What do they do? What do they mean? And how are we going to be using them to create our website? So that is what we want to do now. Sorry for that. Yeah. So at this juncture, I don't know if any one of you have any question before we proceed. So if you have any question, you can ask directly or you can type it in the chat box. So I will attend to it later. All right, so let's proceed.
Very bad. I can't hear you.
Pardon?
The network is extremely bad. Probably from your hand here. I can't hear you.
Maybe it's from your end. Is any other person experiencing that?
No, sir, you sound well. Maybe it is his network.
All right, so please, it might possibly be your network. So you might want to check that. Yeah. So now let's get back to what we are doing. Now I will start with all the bars towards the left. Good. So towards the left here, you have the Webflow icon. And from here, you can go to your dashboard, go to the project settings, or go to the editor. I'll really take my time to go take us through all of this process so that we can understand what each of these ones stands for. So if you click on the dashboard, let's see where it's going to take us. So definitely you are back to where we started from. So this is your dashboard where you can create your website and view the website that you already created. Are we getting it now? So you can just filter it by date created, all of those stuffs, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So let's get back to our designer. Let's get back to the website we already created and then load it again. Again, if you come here and click on project settings, now this is a different page to what we saw the other time. If you want to go back to the previous page we are coming from, which is called the designer, so that empty Canva page we saw initially is called the designer. You can click here. But now here you have the settings, general. What name are you calling your website? So this name is what is going to show up when people open your website, and then like something like we have here where we have Webflow. So let me enlarge this. So you can see here you have Webflow tutorial class dash Webflow. So the name you give to it here is what is going to show when people open your website. Then which domain address are you going to be using? So for now, any page you create is going to have a .webflow.io address. If you want to add your custom domain, we are going to do that later in the course of the class. So this is going to be the website address of your website. So we can change it to say Webflow, let's say borderless Webflow. Or let me just call it borderless class .webflow.io. So I can save the changes here. Now we come here. Okay, let me allow that to load. Here you can upload your website icon. Now let me come here again and use this as an example. You can see this icon here. It is called favicon. So if you need to upload this favicon for your website, then this is where you do it. You click on this upload there, and it's basically going to bring up this dialog box where you can upload your image. So it gives you some instructions here that you need to follow. Now this is for those cases where you need to add a website address to your phone homepage. Like you want to constantly visit that website address, and then you can upload this icon so that it shows up like an app on your phone. Then some other settings you have here. We are not going to go to all of this for now. So we are going to skip some of this for now, and then possibly later we are going to come back to it. Okay, let me go to fonts. Now, if you want to use a particular font, a specific font for your design, this is where you set up the fonts. It has a default access to Google Fonts. So you can come here and say, I want to use Inter on my website. Then you search for Inter. You have Inter there. Then you have the variants, the weight options. You can select all of it. For me, I usually prefer to select all of the options so that if I'm using any variation on my website, I can just do it easily without having to come back here. Then you upload it. It has been added already. But if you have a custom font on your laptop that you want to use, you can upload it here, and you have the instructions here, the type of font you can upload. Or if you have an Adobe font access, you can basically do all of those ones here. But I believe this one should suffice for the sake of what you want to do. These two options, custom fonts and Google Fonts, will suffice. So we have this one set as our fonts. We can come back to SEO later and forms and then some of these other options and the custom code. So let me just click here. When you click on publish now, your website is going to be live. So you can see the address. If you have a custom domain, you can do all of those settings here, but we're not doing it now. So I'm going to click on publish to selected domains. Now it has published successfully. I want to view it now. So if you view it even on your phone right now, the website is going to be live. So I'm opening it right now. But then it is empty. Basically, it is empty. You can see. Can you see what I told you the other time? The name of the website now has shown WebFlow tutorial class, and you can see the favicon. So let's get back to this place. Now let's go back to our designer. And now let me explain some of the other options that you have on the left here. Now this first is for you to add elements to your web page. Now let's click on it. You have different types of elements on this page. Some are pre-made by WebFlow, and then you can basically create your own from scratch. We have div block, we have list item, link block, button. I want you to go through all of these elements by yourself. The best way to know how all of this works is when I start to use them in our designs. Then you have layouts. WebFlow has some layouts for you that you can pick from. So let's pick from one of these, and then I'll pick this div block. I'll click and hold and drag it onto the page. Basically, you can see it here. So if I come here, this is your page navigator. You can see the order of your pages. These are the pages that you have on your website. So you have home. This is where we are. We have some utility pages. If you want to set custom password, if you have an error page and you want to design it, and you have a customer CMS collection pages, we are going to do all of this later. If you are building an e-commerce website, your pages will come here. If you have user pages, maybe for projects and templates, all of those ones will come here. Don't bother yourself with these complexities now. We'll come back to all of this. So basically, the ones you're going to be needing for now is where you can add elements and where you can view your page classes, the navigator to view all of your pages. So at this junction, if you have any question, you can ask before I move towards the right side. Do we have any question at this point? Okay, I believe that we have no questions, but I want to be sure that you are all listening to me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you,
sir.
sir.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now towards the right side, you have the first bar here, the first tab. Let's call it tab. It is tab, yes. So the first tab here is called, let me try and zoom in. It's called what? Style. So that is style. So what style does is, now let me just add an element inside this div. Now if you look at our page navigator, it is called div block. Now I want to add another element inside this div block and call it heading. So I bring it here. I say I want to style this heading. Now let's go ahead and style this heading and see how it's going to look like. And when I say style, it means I want to add some visual customizations to this heading. Possibly I want to change the color. Possibly I want to change the font style. Possibly I want to give it background. Possibly I want to give it borderline or shadow or whatever styling I want to do to it. So the first thing I want to do now is, if you look at this place, you can see the style selector. So the first thing I want to do is to give it a class name. Now, what does a class name do for you? A class name is basically what it is. It is what helps you to identify the type of elements you just added to a page. Now, this is an heading, and then I can call it heading. So I give it that class name. Now, if I have another instance, let me show you what I mean now so that you can, let me call this paragraph now. I had this paragraph inside body. Now, look at what is going to happen. Let me reduce the font, the text inside it. Look at what is going to happen now if I give this the same class of heading. Look at what is going to happen. Just watch. Nothing happens, right? So let me delete that and then add some more customization to our heading before I go ahead and do some other changes to it. If you look at this place, let me do all of this so that you can see it better. these are the various types of styling you can add to this heading, to this body of text. So you can adjust the layout, and under layout we have 6 options. The first one is block. The second one is flex. So when you in this block, the image is going to appear on the left side of your website. So basically, this is the default display for any element on your web page. Now, the second option is called flex. Now, if I click on flex, you see it has given me several options now. We have the direction. Do I want it to be horizontal? Do I want it to be vertical? It's not going to change basically if I adjust between any of these. Thank you, WebFlow. I'm not going there now. So on horizontal page, I want this. Now you can see the alignment. So I know this might get a bit technical to you, but it is not technical. The moment you start to familiarize yourself with all of these things, it becomes easy for you to use. Here now I have horizontal display, and you can change it to vertical. But then how do I want it to align? If you look at what we have here, there is a bounding box. This blue box is binding it. Do I want it to, now this align is telling me that it's going to stretch the full length of this bounding box. But if I want it to start from top, you can see the icon. Let me zoom in so that you can see it better. You can see this icon that it is aligning to the top. Then this one is aligning to center. This one is aligning to bottom, the end. Then this one is stretching from top to bottom. And this is going to align to the text baseline. So let me zoom out and then select this option and look at the text. It's not going to change. If I center it, it's not going to change. If I do end, nothing is going to happen. And I will show you just the reason why very soon. Now, if you look at justification of the text, do you want the text to start from the left, or you want it to be in the center, or you want it to move to the right, or you want it to be spaced between each other? That is if you have more than 2 texts inside this bounding box. So let me select this. You can see that it has moved to the center now. If I select this, it has moved to the right. If I select this, nothing is going to happen basically. If I select this, nothing is going to happen. This one is going to centralize it. Let me go back to left align. Now, gap, column, and row, I will leave that one for now. Now, let's go to spacing. In this spacing now, we have 2 options. We have margin and padding. Now, to demonstrate what margin is all about, margin is the space outside of this bounding box. So you can see that when I highlight on this 20 now, it is going to show some dashed lines at the bottom. I hope you can all see it. You can see this dashed line. So if I increase it, you can see the margin is going to increase. You can see that it has increased. So if I increase the margin to the top, nothing is going to happen basically because there is no space outside of the top. So this one doesn't affect it. So, but you can see that this one is going to affect it. It's going to increase. So it means that it has added this space outside of this bounding box. But what if I want to add space inside this box that we have the text? Then I will adjust it with our padding. So if I increase this one, if I increase it, if I also increase this one, you can see now, if I increase this one, you can see If I also increase this, now basically you can see your padding now. The padding is the space within an element's bounding box. The margin is the space outside of an element's bounding box. I hope that is clear to us.
Yes, sir.
I'm not getting your okay, good. So that is spacing for you. That is spacing for you. So let's go to sizing. I believe sizing is basically clear to us. Like if you want to give it a particular width, it is right on auto. Now if you click on this, you have several options here. You have width in pixels, in percentage, in EM, in rem, in CH, in viewing port width, in viewing point height, and you want it in auto. So basically, if I say I want the width to be, say, 100 pixels, 100 px, I type it, you can see now that it has changed the width of the element. So the element is now basically set at 100 pixels. Now, what if I want to set the height also to say 100 pixels and I set it this way? You can see that the bounding box is now just in the top left corner. But you can see that the element inside is not able to fit within the bounding box. Why? Because the actual size of the elements inside the bounding box is bigger than the constraints you have given to it, which is the width and height. So basically, I will just leave this at auto and leave this at auto. So with time, you are going to understand when you can use the width and height and when not to use it. So this is just a clear case of when you don't have to use the width and height for a particular element. Now this is minimum width and this is minimum height. Maximum width, maximum height. All of this comes into play at one point or the other. For instance, maximum width can be used if your website is going to be viewed on a very large screen and you don't want your designs to expand beyond a maximum width, then you can set it here. Say for instance, you don't want it to expand beyond 1920 pixels. Then it's not going to expand beyond that. So all of this I'm still going to demonstrate to us as we go ahead in the class. Now, another thing I want to show to us here is overflow, but I will skip this one for now and we'll come back to it later because we do not need it at this moment. Now, another thing about styling is how you can position your elements. Now, for this one, I will go to Figma. I will open my Figma and then demonstrate it to you. So here in Figma, my Figma is hanging. Okay, it's asking me to install on next launch. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not installing now. Yeah. So just let me do a bit of demonstration to you of what we mean by that positioning. Now, this is a frame and element. I'll give it a color of green. I will duplicate this, give it a color of say orange, or I don't know what color this is, and then create another one, give it this color. This looks like purple. That's nice. So we have 3 elements on our page and I want to demonstrate to you what positioning is all about. Now the first one you have here is static. Static is just what you have here. All of these elements is static. Then the next one is relative. So when you select relative, what relative does is that it removes your elements from being static and then you can move it to wherever you like on your particular page. But then, because it is relative, the space that you moved it away from is still going to remain. That means that no other element will be able to move into that position. I hope you are getting it. So that means that this element, even though you have moved it from here to here, the space that it is occupying is still going to remain there. But then let's look at the next option, which is what? Absolute. So with absolute now, if you move this element from this position to this position, then this space is free for any other element to occupy it. Then the next one we have is fixed. And fixed, I believe, is pretty clear to us. For instance, you have a nav bar, like you see on some websites, that when you are navigating through a website, the nav bar is always fixed at the top. So that is an example. And then we have another one that is called sticky. In the case of sticky, sticky is a bit different from fixed. Fixed is always going to remain on the web page. Even if you scroll to the bottom of the page, fixed will still be there. But then for sticky, sticky may show up at some sections of your website. And then when you scroll past that section, the sticky element will also leave the screen. It's also going to scroll away from the screen. So these are some options that you can play around with when you are building your website. And some of these ones we are going to demonstrate it in the course of this class. So now I want to quickly show you something that we have here, which is called z-index. So z-index explains to us how elements on your website page are going to be stacked on top of each other. Now, let me quickly demonstrate it to you. Now, we have this one. You can see this green bar is behind this purple rectangle. Now, it means that this purple rectangle has a higher z-index. Now, if I also move this one here, you can see it's behind the purple. That means this purple has the highest z-index. Now you can just play around with your z-index with numbers. If I say I want this element to have 1 z-index, then it's going to be at the top of all the other elements. Now, if I have another element that has 2, that means this 2 will override the 1, and then it's going to be on top. So in this case now, I want to ask a simple question from the class. Which of these 3 elements has 0 z-index? Who can tell me? Anybody? Hello?
The green, sir. The green rectangle.
Okay, the green rectangle. Yes, anybody has another answer to that? I want response. So nobody else is talking.
Sir, the green rectangle.
The green rectangle. Okay, 2 people are saying this is the correct answer. So any contrary answer? All right, that's correct. So this one has 1 and this one has 2. So you can see that the order in which the elements are stacked on top of each other. That is the Z index. So for instance, you have a card on a website, and then exactly, this is just an instance. For this one now, this one has a higher Z index than the actual image that you have here. So something like that is what you have here. So this has a higher Z index than the image. So it's going to stay on top of it. I hope that is clear to us. Another thing is that your Z index can take on negative numbers. It can be negative. It can be negative. So in the case of negative, it means this is going to have -2, and this is going to be 0, and this is going to be -1. So that's just by the way. Now let's go back to this place. We have looked at positioning. Then let's look at typography. So typography has to do with the text on your web page. Remember the other time I added inter. Okay, this is so nice. Now look at inter here. This is inter now. I can just select it. You can see that as I'm changing through, you can see that the font is changing. And if you are not even satisfied with what you have, you can come back here and then add another font. So I'm going to select Inter. And then Inter has different weights. You can see the other time I selected all of these options, and now it is nicely listed here for me to pick from. Whatever style option that I want to select from, I can just select it from this place and then go ahead with my design. Then you can change the size of the text. Okay, I want it to be 96. I want the height. That is the line height. I want it to be 96 also. So basically that's going to change. But then I just like to set it at auto. That just went away. Yep. So you can style it. You can align it to the center. So all of this, you can italicize it. You can add this. You can just play around with all of these options and see which one you like. Yeah, you can just play around with it. Now background now. We can now let me reduce the font size to what is going to be readable for us. Let me make it 48. And let's change the background. You want to add a background to your text, just click on this and then you can play around with it here. That's kind of our fonts. Is we want to change the color of the typography. Let's change it to white so that you can have a nice contrast. Then the background, and then you can have some variations here if you want to do some clipping. Like we'll play around with all of this later. So, but if you have time, just do that at your own end. Then you can add a border to this bounding box. Let's say I want to add this line to it, and I want the thickness to be 4 pixels. So let me change the color so that you can see. Now that we have this added to it, and then let me reduce this, all of this, so that you can see this clearly. Now you can add effects to it, blending, mode, all of these ones. Then you can change the opacity. Do you want it to have outline? Let's play around with all of this. Basically, then box shadow. Do you want it to have shadow? Okay, yes, I want it to have shadow outside, and the color is going to be this. Then the distance. I want the distance to be that. And okay, let's change this should be 100. So that you can see it clearly. I want it the blur. Yes. So what size do you want? Do you want it to be as big as that? So this is where you change all of those ones. The 2D and 3D transformation effect. You can do all of those ones here, but we'll come back to these ones later. Transition and filtering and backdrop filter and all of this. So I just want to do a walkthrough of all of these options that we have here so that we can see how these things work about. You can see that we've just done styling. Now, what about element settings? Let me go back to our page here. Okay. And then I want to remove all of this background stuff. And the border. So you can just click on it to reset whatever settings you have done and you don't want. You can just click to reset it. So let me change the typographic color back to black so that you can see. Now, element settings. Do you want it to be visible or not? So you can change the type of heading. You can change it to H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, or H6. So all of these ones are important for SEO, search engine optimization. If you want to add custom attributes, we'll come back to all of this later. So, but the ones you are basically going to need are what we are going to be doing. Now, this is your style manager. Remember the class that we were talking about, we added the other time? Here, you can view it, and then if you want to delete, you will not be able to delete an active style. So, but if a style is not active, then it's going to show up here so that you can just clean it up. Now, the fourth one we have here is where you do your interactions. Now, let me quickly demonstrate something to you with this elements trigger and then page trigger. If you want to style these elements, you want to add interaction to this particular text, then you can do it here. Like for instance, maybe when I hover my mouse over it, what should happen? I want it to grow big. And can you see that? So if I hover my mouse over it, I want to do something that you have not seen before. Nice. So if I put here, you can see that the element grows big. Yeah. That's just a tiny little interaction display for you. So I also want to do something on the page. Maybe for instance, when my mouse is moving in the viewport, or while the page is scrolling, or while the page loads, or while the page is scrolled. Now, let me say when my mouse is moving in the viewport, I want it to play a mouse animation. Like I want mouse X direction to move this side, and I want this to move this side. Let's see if that is going to happen. Okay, it's not working. We'll come back to that later. All right. So now let me go to the last bar, which is the one at the top. And this is basically showing you the responsiveness of your website. Now, this is the basic, this is the base breakpoint. And when I say breakpoint, it means the size of your viewport. Maybe you are viewing your website on a desktop or on a laptop, or you are viewing it on a tab. How does it appear? So if I click on tablet now, this is how it's going to look like. If I click on this mobile landscape, if my phone is in landscape mode, this is how it's going to appear. And if I click on mobile view, this is how it's going to appear. So I'm going to do something now. I want you all to test it out. I'm going to go ahead here and publish the website again. And I want you to take your phone and go to borderlessclass.webflow.io and tell me if this is exactly what you are seeing. And do that from my hand too. If you have done that, let me know. How many of you have done that?
I have, sir. But it's not
Okay.
stacking. It's not stacking on each other like this. So.
Okay, look at my own screen. This is my own screen, and you can see that it is stacking on each other. Can you put on your video and just show to us? It's not showing at all, right?
It's showing.
Okay. So who else has been able to check it out? I just want to be sure that we are all on the same page. Hello? Hello? Is it only Ayomide that can hear me?
We are still checking, still checking. It's not loading here.
It's not loading. Maybe you should check
Borderless, borderlessclass.io.
borderlessclass.webflow.io.
Okay,
This is the address.
okay.
Can you all see it now? This is it.
Yes, sir.
Borderless.
I've seen it, sir.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, my phone was on desktop side before, so it's stacking on each other like
Okay.
this.
Good. Now, I'm going to quickly do
All
something
right.
now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something now to this image, to this text. I'm going to adjust the font size. I will change it to normal, and then I will remove some settings on the spacing. You can see here that this is 107. I will remove this and make it 0, or let me make it 20. And then I basically remove this, set it to 0, set this one to 0, and set this to 20, and set this to say 20. Then I will change the font size from 48 to 24, as well as it's still wrapping, right? So yes, yes. So I just want to demonstrate um, I want to demonstrate this to us. Now I'm going to go ahead again now. If you adjust this, you can see that this is going to change. So on some phones, the width, the width of the screen, that is the width from left to right, is going to be 240. But for most phones that we use today, it's basically starts at 360. So if you look at the bottom, if you look at the bottom here and just watch out at this point, you see that it's going to list some names of phones. You can see we have iPhone 12 mini, iPhone 13, Galaxy S9, up to Google Pixel and Nexus 6. So basically this is like the screen size, the screen width. That is the viewing port width for most phones. Falls on 360 pixels. Now the height of your phone may now differ, but this is what is most important. Let me just show you this in Figma. So for this frame now, you can, if you come here, you can see the width is 1077. Now I can also create another frame that is basically for phones. I can select the types of phones. You can see here that Android large is having 360, small 360. There are some phones that is higher than that, and there are some other phones that are so small, like iPhone SE, having 320, and on like that. So just wanted to demonstrate that to you. Now let me publish this website again, and then you reload it on your phone, and let's see if these changes are going to be effected immediately. Now you can reload the website, you see that the changes will have been effected. Now if you look at my phone, you can see it has changed immediately. How many of us have tried it?
I have, sir. So it has
So
changed.
have you seen the changes also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's nice. So let me come back here.
I have,
Now,
sir.
oh, that's great. That's great. Now, one beautiful thing about this responsiveness is that when you make any change on the base breakpoint, this is, let me over on it again so that you can see it clearly. You can see that we have there the base breakpoint. It says desktop styles apply at all breakpoints unless they are edited at a larger or smaller breakpoint. Start your styling here. So what that jargon means basically is that if you apply any change when you are editing your design in the base breakpoint, then that change is going to cascade down to all of the other screens. It's going to cascade down to all of the other screens, whether to the right, or even if you had additional larger breakpoints, like say 1920, the changes you make here will affect all of the screen sizes. But if I come here on the tablet screen, the changes I make here will only affect the screen sizes for tablets and below. It does not affect screen sizes above it. The same thing applies here. If I apply any change here, it does not affect the screen size above it. It only affects screen sizes below it. Now, look at what happened here. You can see that I made this change to the mobile portrait, but the changes that I made here did not affect the one I made the mobile landscape and the other screens. So that is just what I'm saying. Now look at this. If I apply any change here on the Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can see that the changes I made in this mobile landscape affected the one below it. It changed the color. But if you come here, you can see that the color was not affected on a higher breakpoint. So these are some of the subtle differences that you need to bear in mind when you are working on your website. Yes. So basically that will be it for tonight. And I would like to entertain some questions that we may have before I give us an heads up on what we are going to be doing in our next class. So it's time for questions now. If you have any question, please let me know so that we can quickly trash it. Question time.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, AY.
Yes, sir. So basically, since this is a website you are working from, so I
Yeah.
was thinking probably you might be able to also access this from our phone, though I'm not sure.
You might be able to do what?
Maybe we might be able to access this site from our phone and also be able to edit as you are doing.
Oh, that's not possible with Webflow. You cannot edit on your phone. You can only do the editing on your desktop, on your laptop.
Okay.
Because before you can be able to work on this window, there is a specific width of the screen that you must have before this page is going to be able to load. So that's a restriction that they implemented because of the user experience. It may really not be nice for you to try and you want to edit some of these elements and then you are not seeing it clearly, all of those things. So that's why you can only
All
do
right,
the
sir.
editing on your laptop.
All right, sir.
Yes. Yes. Another question? Yes, please go ahead, Elizabeth. Okay. It appears we don't have any question. So for our next class, let's come back to our this page. Actually, Figma is not part of the class we are taking uh, at this time. Figma is not part of the class, but we are going to be using this design that was built in Figma. This prototype was done in Figma, and we are going to be translating this design, as you can see it visually, into Webflow. So, but then I want to do a little thing. I want to do it a bit differently. I want to sample through the people in this class tonight who wants to build a portfolio website. So, do we have anybody like you want to build your portfolio website so that we can use your details as an example in the class? So possibly you're like this person now, you're a visual designer, and then you want to have a website where you showcase your work and all of those things. So basically, we are going to be using your details to teach others in class. Do you have anybody like that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, Mr. Sam.
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right, that's nice. So possibly during next class, you can just you know what? I'm going to share this page with you. I'm going to share this page with you. Then go through it and provide the content for all of this information that you want us to put so that we can edit them later and then start to work on it in the next class. How about that?
That would be fair, sir.
All right, all right. I will share this design with you so that we can really start in earnest. Yes. So that will be all for tonight's class. And I want to really appreciate everyone for coming around for the class. So I want to quickly um, notify us that we are not going to be having a class on Friday. There won't be class on Friday. I want to ask if you will be available tomorrow, 8 p.m. the same time. If not, then we postpone the class to Monday. I just want to hear our feedback. Should we have the next class tomorrow, which is Thursday, or the next class will be on Monday? Maybe I should do that on the group's WhatsApp page, so I can just hear people's take on it.
Yes, I think it should be on the WhatsApp group because of some people that are not online now.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you so much. So I want to challenge you. Go and try something in Webflow, and then let's see what you're able to come up with. Possibly in the next class, I might ask you to share your screen and show me some of the things you have been able to just play around with in Webflow and see what you're able to come up with. So it's all a matter of it's all about exploration. Explore several things you have here and try them out and see where it leads you. And if you make any mistake, you can just come back here. You can see this icon here. Just undo any mistake you have made. So why not? I think you have basically the canvas is for you to just play and experiment and do a lot of things. It's a free world for you. So without any other question, I want to call it a day for tonight's class. And thank you everyone for coming around. Have a good evening and enjoy the rest of the week. Thank you so much for coming around.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you too
Thank you,
for
sir.
staying. And
We
thank
really
you,
had a
sir.
great time, sir.
I'm glad you had a great time, sir. Thank you so much for being a part of the class. All right, everyone.